Classical music flourished for hundreds of years because of the performances by composers who were either conducting the orchestra or performing at the piano. The opening of Carnegie Hall featured Tchaikovsky conducting the premiere of his Symphony No. 6. The New York Philharmonic hired Mahler to be their principal conductor. People flocked to hear these A-list conductors, who were the tent poles of the industry. Everything was fine in classical music until the mid-20th century, when Juilliard led a dumbing down of arts education for classical musicians. I'm referring to the top 3 studies, which are piano, composition, and conducting. For hundreds of years, the brightest students were trained to do all 3, or 2 of the 3, as long as one of them was composition. That was the formula for creating the A-list musicians, from Beethoven to Brahms to Mahler. In the 1950s, Juilliard said you can only do 1 of the 3. If higher education followed, you can only play the piano, only conduct the orchestra, or only compose music. And composers were forced to create atonal music, which will make you stupid because you don't have to process a lot of variables to make something sound bad. This created a big pool of B-list musicians who had remedial intellectual development. In spite of this, there are many who navigated their way through this failed system and learned how to conduct the orchestra and create complex, beautiful symphonies just like they did in the old days. My film scoring class at UCLA was filled with conductors who created symphonies like Beethoven and Schubert. You don't see today's A-list musicians on the stage because the performing arts series and symphony orchestras were hijacked by the B-list. They turned classical music into a dumpster fire. As a result, the public doesn't get to hear how the smartest conductors interpret music, and they don't get to hear all the new symphonies that are being created. The only reason I was able to conduct my 5th symphony and my Titanic Symphony at Lincoln Center was because I came up with my own sponsorship. It's very difficult to put together funding because the established orchestras have everyone believing that they present the best of the best. They solicit donations with phrases like highest standards and the highest level of excellence in performance. No matter how good your violin players and wind players are, a bad conductor will bring the whole thing down to their level. Here's what they're doing to the sound in Beethoven's symphonies. When the whole orchestra is playing, the B-list conductors have half the notes coming out at this much volume and half the notes coming out at that much volume. You can't hear half the notes. And the ones you can hear blend together awkwardly. It's a bad sound. A conductor who creates symphonies can look at the score and hear the blend of instruments in their head. They can figure out how to get that sound to the audience. It's very difficult because the early 19th century symphonies were designed to be performed in small concert halls. I made a YouTube video called The Real Maestro where I explained this in detail. I also identified decades of television appearances where Leonard Bernstein was indoctrinating the public into believing that Beethoven created a bad, rough, harsh sound. He actually said on television that Beethoven was bad at orchestration. Bernstein's lies, combined with an avalanche of misinformation in the New York Times, created a permission structure for orchestras to get away with using incompetent conductors who make the music sound bad. They can also compromise the effectiveness of the music by going the wrong speed. Composers write in the score not too fast. Sometimes it's because it's a dramatic piece and the public has to have time to absorb everything that's going on in the music to feel the drama. With some conductors, it's their style to go fast, and they wind up draining the drama from a piece that's trying to be dramatic. Many of the conductors do not know how to pull off the sudden speed change composition device. Beethoven uses this device at the end of his 9th Symphony to bring the whole piece to its big grand climax. Here's how Beethoven does it. He has the symphony going along fast, and suddenly he changes the speed to slow and majestic for the final note sung by the chorus. It's one of the most glorious moments in all of music if it's done the right way. One of the most famous B-list conductors doesn't understand this composition device. His sudden speed change only went from fast to moderately fast. It's on television. While the reporter is telling him what a great conductor he is, you can hear him ruining the ending of Beethoven's 9th Symphony in the background. At the first performance of the 9th Symphony, Beethoven couldn't conduct it because his hearing was too bad. He stood next to the conductor's podium and pounded the beat on the base of the podium and told the conductor to stay with him. Beethoven was conducting the conductor. That's hardly a ringing endorsement for the B-list. Now, one more thing. Years ago, I made a film about how the orchestras mess up the sound in Beethoven's symphonies. I sent the film along with the score to my Symphony No. 6 to the Boston Symphony Orchestra. I processed a massive amount of variables to create that symphony. It's roughly the same amount of variables that Beethoven processed to create his Symphony No. 7. The assistant artistic director saw the film and admitted that the Boston Symphony was doing Beethoven's symphonies the wrong way and making them sound bad. Then he said, "They won't perform my Symphony No. 6 because I will tell everyone that they did it the wrong way." They know they're using stupid conductors. They know they're not taking proper custodial care of the art they're exploiting, and yet they don't care. The good people of Boston deserve better. Thank you for watching.